Hi, everyone. Avi Schneier, Principal Transformation Consultant with Scrum Inc., talking with you today about business agility and Scrum at scale. Before we begin, I want to make sure everyone is level set on the definition of business agility because there's a lot of talk about this. This term is being thrown around everywhere today, but very few people precisely define it. Business agility is all about gaining and maintaining a competitive advantage. Everything else besides that is just different descriptions or fluff around it. But this is the core of what business agility is for. When you think about business agility in your organization, you want to figure out what attributes of our organization can actually lend themselves to making us more agile as an entire business as opposed to a unit or a single team. And so these are some of the attributes that an organization has that lend themselves towards increasing business agility. The ability to adapt quickly to market changes. Now, you'll notice it says internally and externally. This is really important. It's not just about reflecting what's happening in the marketplace, but how we change inside of our company in order to meet what's happening externally in the market itself. The ability to respond rapidly and with flexibility to customer needs. And this is because technology changes are so fast. We have to be able to not just persevere because our plan said so, but pivot because the data is telling us something else needs to be done. There's the ability to adapt and lead change in a productive and cost-effective way without compromising quality. Notice that there's a lot of different terms in this bullet point. Cost effectiveness is one of the hallmarks of agility. The whole idea of being agile comes out of manufacturing and the ability to be able to customize solutions at no or little additional cost. So that's something you have to consider. And of course, quality. Quality should always be job one, whether you're building Fords or not. So here, you need to always understand what is the cost-benefit analysis of making changes, but not compromising on quality or skimping on what we do is a really important factor there. And the final one, use of the agile mindset at scale in entrepreneurial innovation. Most people who are watching this are familiar with agile. They've heard about the manifesto or they've read some articles on it. But the question is, how do you put that mindset to use at scale? That's a little bit different than just, for example, inside of your research and development department. And what this means is that you have to build agility into the DNA of your culture inside your organization. But most importantly, it involves two other facets of your organization that you're probably going to have to change. Why do I mention these facets is because when you take a look at Scrum at scale, there are essentially two facets to it, or what I like to call the yin and yang of it. One of them is the Scrum at scale components, the components of our actual scaling framework. And the other one is our organizational design. And when you take a look at our framework, which is composed of 12 components, plus the increment, of course, that gets sent out to customers, it's divided into two cycles. The product owner cycle that decides what we're going to deliver, and not just from a product perspective, but from a program or portfolio perspective. And the Scrum Master cycle that's all about how those products, from an individual and from a program and portfolio level, actually reach our customers and our end users, and then how we get the feedback from it and keep iterating on this whole process. Again, not as a single team or even a group of teams, but a group of teams as a whole organization or whole company. Now, I don't want you to think of these components as physical structures. Instead, what they are a series of questions that each organization has to answer in order to do this effectively. So for example, strategic vision. It's not just what is the strategic vision, it's also things like, how do we communicate it? What metrics do we have that are telling us whether or not our strategic vision is actually taking us into the right direction? And you'll notice that strategic vision feeds into backlog prioritization, which means there has to be a question in there about how does our strategic vision influence how we prioritize what work there is to be done? Beyond the Scrum at Scale framework components, there's the other side of that coin, the organization design. And most organizations, especially ones that are set up very traditionally, are designed in silos. This is something that has to change when you adopt agile ways of working, particularly Scrum, Kanban, Scrum at scale. You're going to have to move to a greater network design. That network design is ultimately important because the heart of Scrum at scale is actually creating an information propagation system. That's really how things are different between a siloed organization and a network. In a siloed organization, information, innovations, and things like that get passed on simply from one silo to the next. And that's why things are slow. In a network design, information can travel much more rapidly. And that's what we need to enhance both innovation as well as responsiveness to customer needs, which is what creates business agility by giving us that advantage over our competition. Now, I don't want everybody to think that we're asking you to just design some willy-nilly network that's just, oh, well, let's just put a bunch of teams together and figure out how to make communication bridges. That's actually not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is create an information flow that resembles production. And that's the same whether you're designing physical goods on a factory floor or whether you're in knowledge work. Either way that you do this, you're trying to design an organization that allows information, innovation, and response to customer needs happen as quickly as possible.